At my sister's engagement party, her fiancé deliberately spilled red wine on my dress. Not a splash. Not an accident. He stood in front of me, tipped his glass, and poured until my only decent dress was soaked. I felt the cold liquid hit my skin before the stain even registered. The room went quiet, then my sister started laughing, and the rest followed. Brandon leaned in, close enough for me to smell the expensive scotch he hadn't paid for. "Look at that," he said, loud enough for the crowd. "You finally have some color in your life, Brie." No screams. No tears. Just me, standing in the wreckage of my dignity while they laughed. Until a voice silenced them all, stern and commanding. "Ms. Miller, is that you?" I looked up. Standing near the entrance was a man I'd never met in person, but whose signature I'd seen on countless bank documents. It was Robert, Brandon's father. And he wasn't looking at me with pity. He was looking at me with recognition. The timeline freezes here. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I'd love to know who's part of our community. 2 hours earlier, I had been at work. Not at a party. At work. I am a quality assurance specialist at a medical device factory. My job is finding microscopic flaws in things that are supposed to keep people alive. I spend my days in a sterilization room. It is cold. It is white. It is silent. There are no surprises there. No red wine. No laughter. Just precision. I like the sterile room. I like that errors can be identified, labeled, and removed. My life outside that room is messy. I am the fixer. The one who handles the logistics while my sister, Chloe, handles the spotlight. Chloe is the golden child. Chaotic, demanding, beautiful. And I am the one with the broom, sweeping up the glass she breaks. I keep a mental list. I call it the ledger. Every time I pay a bill she forgot. Every time I smooth over a fight she started. Every time I apologize for something she did. The ledger is long. It is heavy. But I carry it because that is what families do. Or so I thought. Why did I even go to that party? Why did I put on that dress and drive to that rooftop lounge with the fake grass and the rented cabanas that looked cheap up close? Why did I walk into a room full of people who treat me like an accessory? Because my family is a slot machine. That is the only way I can explain it. They aren't cruel all the time. If they were, it would be easy to leave. No, they are intermittent. They give me just enough. A rare compliment from my mother. A moment where Chloe actually listens to me. A smile. A thank you. Those tiny wins are the flashing lights and the dinging bells. They hook me. They make me think, maybe this time it will be different. Maybe this time, the jackpot of love will finally hit. So I keep pulling the handle. I keep playing the game. I keep showing up, hoping that the pattern will change. It is an addiction. A psychological trap. And like any addict, I was convincing myself that the next pull would be the big one. That this engagement party would be the moment they finally saw me. But standing there, feeling the wine soak into my skin, watching my sister laugh at my humiliation, the machine broke. The lights went out. The bells stopped ringing. I looked at Brandon. I looked at Chloe. And for the first time, I didn't see my family. I saw a defect. A critical failure in the system. And then I looked at Robert. He was still staring at me, waiting for an answer. "Yes," I said. My voice was steady. "I am Brianna Miller. We need to talk," he said. I walked out of that party without saying another word to my sister. I walked past the laughing guests. I walked past the cabanas. I got into my car, locked the doors, and sat in the silence. I didn't cry. Crying is for people who are surprised. I wasn't surprised anymore. I was calibrated. 2 weeks before the wine spill, I was at my desk in the factory. The air filtration system was humming. My monitors were glowing. A notification popped up on my personal email. A credit alert. I almost deleted it. I have excellent credit. I pay my bills early. I don't carry balances. But something made me click. New account opened. Kingsford Bank. Line of credit. Limit. $32,000. I stared at the screen. I hadn't applied for a line of credit. I hadn't applied for anything. I opened the details. The primary applicant was me, Brianna Miller. My social security number, my address, my income. But there was a co-applicant, Chloe Miller. I felt a cold prickle on the back of my neck. I logged into the credit bureau directly. I pulled the full report. It wasn't just an application. It was approved. And it was active. $32,000. Withdrawn in full. I looked at the transaction history. One single transfer. To a vendor called Platinum Events and Venues. I knew that name. It was the venue for Chloe's wedding. The dream venue she had been bragging about for months. The one she said Brandon's family was paying for. She hadn't just borrowed money. She had stolen my identity. She had forged my signature. She had leveraged my financial stability to fund her fantasy. I printed the report. I printed the transaction list. I printed the original application, which had a digital signature that was definitely not mine. I put it all in a binder. I didn't scream. I didn't call her. I sat there in the sterile light of my office and I felt numb. The ledger had just gained a new entry. But this one wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an accident. This was a crime. I picked up my phone and called my mother, Stephanie. Mom, I said. We need to talk about Chloe. Oh, Brianna, not now, she said. Her voice was breathless, rushed. We are finalizing the flower arrangements. Do you know how hard it is to get peonies this time of year? Mom, listen to me. Chloe opened a line of credit in my name. She stole $32,000. There was a silence on the line. A long, heavy silence. Then she sighed. A sound of pure annoyance. Brianna, don't be dramatic. It's not stealing. It's borrowing. Brandon's bonus is coming next month. He'll pay it off. They just needed the deposit now to secure the date. She forged my signature, Mom. That is fraud. It is a formality, she snapped. Look, don't make a scene, Brianna. You know how stressed your sister is. This wedding is important. It's good for the family image. Brandon is good for the money. Just sign the papers retroactively. Fix it. Fix it. That was her mantra. Keep the peace. Don't rock the boat. But in that moment, listening to her dismiss a felony as a formality, I realized something terrifying. My mother wasn't a victim caught in the middle of two squabbling sisters. She wasn't a helpless peacemaker. She was the manager. She was the one ensuring the victim stayed quiet so the abusers wouldn't get upset. The peace she wanted wasn't harmony. It was my silence. She didn't care that I had been robbed. She only cared that I didn't complain about it. Normalizing cruelty. That is what she did. She took the unacceptable and painted it as necessary. She made me feel like the villain for noticing the knife in my back. I'll fix it, I said. My voice was cold. Good, she said, relieved. I knew I could count on you. You're the sensible one. We'll see you at the engagement party? Wear something nice, okay? Brandon's father is going to be there. We need to make a good impression. I hung up the phone. Yes, I thought. I will make an impression. Back in the car, sitting outside the party with wine drying on my dress, I looked at the binder on the passenger seat. I had tried to give them a chance. I had gone to the party. I had held on to the evidence, waiting. Maybe, just maybe, they would treat me with respect. Maybe they would confess. Maybe they would apologize. But then the wine hit me, and the laughter, and the realization that the slot machine was rigged. It would never pay out. I picked up my phone. I dialed the number for the fraud department at Kingsford Bank. This is Brianna Miller, I said. I am reporting identity theft. I want to freeze everything. I wasn't the sister anymore. I wasn't the daughter. I was the plaintiff. And I was done playing the game. I turned off my emotions. I turned on my quality assurance mode. Identify the defect. Isolate the variable. Eliminate the risk. I filed the police report online right there in the parking lot. I uploaded the documents. I sent the affidavit to the credit bureaus. I initiated a total credit freeze on every file associated with my social security number. It felt like flipping a switch in a breaker box. The lights in the house of cards went out. The card reader at the bar upstairs would decline in about 20 minutes. The vendors would get bounce notifications by Monday morning. The entire financial structure of their lie was crumbling, bite by bite, as I tapped my screen. I didn't feel guilty. I felt clean. Monday morning, I didn't go to the factory. I put on my best suit. I drove to the headquarters of Kingsford Bank downtown. I checked in at the security desk. I have a meeting with Mr. Robert Vance, I said. The guard looked at his list. Go right up, Ms. Miller. He is expecting you. Robert's office was corner, glass, and intimidating. But when I walked in, he stood up. He didn't look like the wealthy socialite from the party. He looked like a forensic accountant.
Stern.
Focused. Ethical.
Ms. Miller, he said.
Thank you for coming. He gestured to the chair. On his desk was a file. It was thick. I recognized you at the party because your name crossed my desk 3 days ago, he said. Our internal fraud algorithms flagged the application. High value. No history of prior large debts, co-signed by a known high-risk individual. Chloe? I asked. He nodded. And my son, Brandon. His name wasn't on the application, but the IP address matched his condo. I reached into my bag and pulled out my binder. The gift I hadn't left on the table. I have the rest of it, I said. I slid it across the desk. Robert opened it. He put on his glasses. We sat in silence for 20 minutes while he read. He looked at the timestamps. He looked at the forged signatures. He looked at the transaction logs. He didn't try to excuse it. He didn't try to keep the peace. He didn't tell me to be sensible. He looked up, and his face was gray. This isn't just spending, he said. This is criminal. He turned a page.
He stopped.
He stared at a specific transaction. Ms. Miller, look at this. He pointed to a line item dated 2 months ago. $12,000. Paid to a high-end jeweler. That's the engagement ring, I said. Chloe showed it to everyone. She said it was a family heirloom from your side. Robert shook his head. We don't have heirlooms like that. And I didn't buy it. He tapped the paper. You did. The world tilted. The funds for the ring were drawn from the credit line. The credit line in my name. Brandon didn't buy the ring. He didn't even steal money from his dad to buy it. He stole money from me to buy a ring for my sister, to propose to her, to look like a big shot in front of everyone. I bought my own sister's engagement ring. Unknowingly. Unwillingly. This moved the needle. It wasn't just financial stress. It wasn't just a young couple getting in over their heads. This was sociopathic. This was a level of manipulation that made me nauseous. He used you to propose to her, Robert said. His voice was quiet, disgusted. He made you pay for your own replacement in the family hierarchy. I stood up. I felt like I was going to be sick. I need to go, I said. Robert stood up too. He looked at me. I'm cutting him off, he said. As of this morning. All accounts. All access. And I am turning this file over to the district attorney. I will not protect a thief, even if he is my son. He extended his hand. I am sorry, Ms. Miller. You didn't deserve this. I shook his hand. It was a firm, honest grip. Thank you, Robert. I walked out of the bank. I got into my car. I didn't go back to work. I drove to my apartment. I knew they would be there. My mother has a key. I hadn't changed the locks yet. That was on the list for the afternoon. When I walked in, they were waiting. An ambush. Stephanie was pacing the living room. Chloe was crying on the sofa. Brandon was leaning against the wall, looking annoyed, scrolling on his phone. Where have you been? Stephanie demanded. Do you know what's happening? The vendors are calling. The cards are declining. Everything is frozen. I closed the door behind me. I locked it. I know, I said. Fix it. Chloe shrieked. She jumped up. Her eyes were red, but not from sadness. From panic. You have to call the bank. You have to tell them it was a mistake. They are threatening to cancel the venue. It wasn't a mistake, I said. Brandon laughed. A short, arrogant bark. Look, Bree, you made your point. You're jealous. We get it. You're lonely and miserable, and you can't stand that Chloe is happy and successful. But this is childish. Unfreeze the accounts, so we can get on with our lives. Jealous. I looked at him. I looked at the ring on Chloe's finger. The ring I paid for. You think I'm jealous? I asked. Yes, Stephanie said. You've always been jealous of her.
But this is too far, Brianna.
You are ruining this family. You are destroying your sister's happiness. For what? For money? We can pay you back later.
There's no later, I said.
I reached into my bag. I pulled out a single piece of paper. A copy of the transaction receipt for the jeweler. I walked over to Chloe. I held it out.
Read it. She snatched it.
She looked at it. Her brow furrowed. What is this? It's the receipt for your ring, I said.
So?
Brandon bought it. Look at the source of funds, Chloe. Look at the account number. She looked. She looked at Brandon. He pushed off the wall, suddenly alert. Brianna, don't, he warned. It's my account, Chloe. The fraud account. The one you helped open. She stared at me. I paid for that ring, Chloe. I paid for the party, where you laughed at me. I paid for the dress you're going to wear. I paid for every single lie you've told people about how successful you are. Silence slammed into the room. I didn't ruin the wedding, I said. I funded it. And now, I'm defunding it. Brandon stepped forward. He looked dangerous. You listen to me, you little. My phone beeped. I held it up. It was a voicemail notification. From Robert. I pressed speaker. Ms. Miller, this is Robert Vance. I just wanted to confirm that I have spoken with the police. The report is filed. Brandon has been removed from all company accounts and my estate. He is on his own. If he contacts you, let me know. The voice filled the room. The hammer. Brandon stopped. His face went white. He looked like a child who had just realized the adults were home. Chloe collapsed back onto the sofa. She wasn't crying anymore. She was in shock. Stephanie stood there, her mouth open, looking from me to Brandon. The realization was hitting her. The money was gone. The status was gone. The peace was gone.
Get out, I said.
Stephanie started to speak. Brianna, please.
Get out.
I didn't shout. I didn't have to. I had the power now. Brandon was the first to move. He didn't look at Chloe. He didn't look at Stephanie. He just walked out the door, running from the consequences. Chloe followed him, sobbing, calling his name. Stephanie looked at me one last time. She looked like she wanted to scold me, to tell me to fix it, but the words died in her throat. She saw the stranger in her daughter's eyes. She left. I closed the door. I engaged the deadbolt. I slid down to the floor. I sat there in the quiet hallway. 3 months later. The wedding never happened. Brandon was charged with grand larceny and identity theft. He took a plea deal. Probation and restitution. I will probably never see a dime, but the court order is framed on my wall. Chloe moved back in with Stephanie.
They don't talk to me.
They tell people I had a mental breakdown and try to sabotage them. I don't correct them. I changed my number. I moved to a new apartment, closer to the factory. It is quiet here. I sit on my balcony in the evenings. I drink tea. I watch the sunset. I realized something important. I don't hate them. Hate takes energy. Hate is a connection. Hate means you still care what they do. I don't care. I feel indifference. Administrative detachment. They're a closed account. A file archived in a basement. A transaction that has been voided. I am not a sister. I am not a daughter. I am a woman who sits in silence and enjoys every second of it. I am free. If you've ever had to walk away to save yourself, share this story. You aren't alone.